Okay, so how can sport and something like running, how can that improve your career? How can it enhance your career, help you grow faster and help you earn more? Now, growing up for me, everything was sport. So my dad's philosophy was literally you do sport first, and if you've got time, you can do your homework later. And what he meant by that, especially between kind of like really early school in primary school and high school, was you're going to learn much more on the sports fields about life and about kind of yourself than you might do in the classroom. And so for us, me and my two sisters, it was anything we could possibly get involved in. And in the UK, that's like, it's football in the winter, cricket in the summer, but anything like badminton, tennis, table tennis, hockey, chess, whatever it was, we'd be involved. And what you learn from that, and subsequently like coaching kids in sport, is the discipline, the drive, determination. We speak about that all the time on this channel, but those things you learn in sport. You learn to work as a team, that teamwork element, and also a bigger plan for the team. How are we going to improve in the long term? You also learn to fail, super important, and you don't want to have those lessons later on in life. You want those as a kid and realize that it's not the end of the world. We regroup and we go again. And you also learn self-awareness. It's very easy to see on a football field or on a cricket field or even in running, like what your strengths and weaknesses are, who is good and who needs to improve. It's very, very simple to see that in sport. And so for me, it's a meritocracy, especially in something like running where it's the first person to cross the line wins the race. But you can see and become self-aware and like, okay, I'm not very good at that, but I'm very good at this, so I need to improve this. And that's super important, and all of those things come in very, very useful in your career. But growing up, I just always wanted to be a footballer. Then at a certain age, I realized I wasn't good enough. My dad actually had a chat with me and said, just literally sat me down. It must have been a really difficult conversation for him to have, but he told me that I didn't have what it takes to make it as a professional footballer. And so I kind of rethought, and I really wanted to be a runner. But then, problem years and this is why I'm so passionate about kind of getting kids into sport, but keeping them in sport in the problem teenage years, is because the problem teenage years happened to me. And so I didn't want to go running kind of after 16, 17. I didn't want to go to practice. There were other things that became more important. And so, yeah, I'd play football with the lads, and I'd play cricket with the lads, but I wouldn't get involved in stuff that I was kind of on my own. And I, to a point, I regret that. But what that led into was I fell into recruitment. And I fell into recruitment I had no idea what I wanted to do. And so what I did want to do is I wanted to do temporary jobs. I wanted to earn as much money as I could and then go traveling in Southeast Asia. And I know it's a stereotype. I know it's kind of like cliche, but that's what I wanted to do. I wanted to go away, see the world, and then I felt that I'd figure out for myself what I wanted to do. At that point, I knew what a lecturer would do, a teacher would do. I knew what my parents did, but I didn't know what other people did in society. And after not kind of becoming a professional sports person at young age, the next best thing for me was a sports teacher, a PE teacher. And then you kind of learn how much teachers get paid, and I didn't want to do that. So I fell into recruitment in a way that I went to get temporary work, and I would do anything that they asked me. I'd literally turn up at 7:30 in the morning with my bicycle, and I'd cycle to any job, whether it was packing fish, blowing up footballs, making cardboard boxes. I would do anything. And eventually, I earned enough respect from them that I'd get office jobs. So I'd be filing and putting, this was before computers would be a regular feature on somebody's desk. So I'd be putting things into A to Z or whatever, and it would be quite easy for me to do. But at some point, they had a gap in their small recruitment company. And they said, we've got somebody going on to maternity leave. Would you like to cover that maternity leave? It's going to be 6 to 9 months, but it would mean that you can't go traveling. They knew my plan to go traveling, and I was almost at the point when, and this was definitely a sliding doors moment for me, I was almost at the point where I had enough money to go traveling, and I was just earning more to make it like either a longer trip or a more comfortable trip. And so I had a decision, and I decided that I would go for the recruitment career because everything I'd learned about it up to that point matched my sporting career. So it was obviously sales. The harder you work, the more you get paid. The smarter you work, the more you get paid. Everything was correlated really nicely to everything I knew about sport. And that's what I learned about recruitment. It was like, okay, exactly that. If the target's 100 calls and to make 10 sales, but I make 200 calls and make 25 sales, I'm going to get paid a lot more. And so now it's very, very difficult for me to understand a career where you get a basic salary, and no matter how hard you work and how smart you work, it's only ever going to get paid that. The idea of sitting next to somebody who's clocking in at 9 o'clock and clocking out at 5 o'clock, and I'm doing 60 hours a week because I want to get ahead, but we're both getting the same salary, that doesn't sit well with me. For me, humans need incentives, and that's what sport teaches you. So that sporting background fits really well into any sales profession, especially something like recruitment, where you're dealing with people. And again, I failed to mention that, but as a people person, you're constantly dealing with people from all walks of life, because anybody in your football team can be from anywhere. And then maybe you're dealing with slightly different personalities and slightly different like class in cricket, but not much from where I'm from. But you get to talk to people at every level. And also when you're in sports teams and you're pretty good as a 12, 13, 14-year-old, you're playing with men who may be like 30 to 45 to 55 years old. And so you kind of learn how to, respect your elders. That's super important, and my parents drilled that into me, respect your elders. So that would give you a really good footing to go into a business career. And so the way you can improve with sport is all those things that you pick up in sport, the discipline, like the daily routine of getting up and doing something that is hard. But what that means is I'm getting up and doing something that's hard, but when something does come up that's hard, that I'm not expecting, which it's going to come up, definitely, because this is life, I'm much more equipped to deal with it because I've had sport and because I'm used to dealing on a day-to-day basis. I'm going out and doing something that's pretty hard on a regular basis. So you've got that. So you've got that drive, dedication, determination, the initial motivation. You've got that community network, so you're going to build your network, and that will add to opportunities at some point or another. And then you have that delayed gratification. You're not going to start running today and tomorrow you're going to be able to run a marathon. It doesn't work like that. It's going to take you to put a strategy together, to put a plan together, and then detail that plan of how that actually looks like, when you're going to sacrifice the time in order to do what you're wanting to do, in order to do what hopefully it turns into a passion for you. Hopefully you're sacrificing that time to do what you love. So how can I fit that in with my job? And all those things are all transferable from running or any sport into your career. And the fact that you're actually a sports person, and that maybe you're into fitness, maybe you're into going to the gym, maybe you're playing paddle tennis, maybe you're playing chess, maybe you're playing, maybe you're running, maybe you're cycling. Doesn't matter. That what's important for employers when they see you and when you're kind of trying to raise through the ranks is that you've got your life together. You're not kind of controlled by maybe alcohol at the weekend or drugs at the weekend or something like that. You've got your life together to the point where you know where you want to go in your career, and you're doing everything you can to further your career, and you know what you want to do outside of your work life as well. You've got your running, and you've got your cycling, you've got your football or whatever, and that means that on a weekly basis you need to training, and you want to improve, and you put in your spare time to good use. And you probably, therefore, have your relationships, your friendships, and your family network in a good shape as well. And those things are super important for people looking at who to promote within an organization or who to bring into an organization. I think it's super important. And sport will enhance your life in many, many different ways, but that's just how it enhances your career. If you've got any questions or you can relate to that story, pop your story in the comments or pop your question in the comments. I'll do my best to answer it. Like and subscribe as usual. I keep getting told to ask this and I always forget. Like and subscribe, and yeah, happy Monday.